Okay, so let's see, random question that I got from the third reading. What are the themes of the passage?
I think it's kind of like the theme is kind of like you don't know what's gonna happen, and you can't forget things that happened in the past, you know.
Right. Yeah, sort of something like that.
I actually kind of almost had a different kind of theme. I thought that it might have been like towards the end when he's talking about Lenore, maybe it's hope, because he's hoping she'll come back because he's forgotten. So I thought that the theme could have been hope towards the end.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
I thought that the theme could be really different depending on who it is that's looking at the story. Because some people could think that the raven is like an actual thing and it's like a true story about this guy and this raven came into his house and started talking to him. And another person could think that he's like imagining the raven and like the raven symbolizes something. And then another person could think that it's just like another one of Edgar Allan Poe's stories about people who are kind of nutso. So it could change a lot depending on like who the person who's reading it is.
I actually, when I read the story the third time, I had like this weird, crazy thought. What if the raven sort of symbolizes like Lenore, or what if the raven is Lenore?
I thought about that once.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, the raven could be Lenore, because if Lenore is supposedly like the spirit, then it can take form of whatever, so.
Right, because if you look in that one place, where the narrator says something about the raven and he addresses it as a he, and then, okay, so it says, in the one paragraph it says, that one word as if his soul in that one word he did outpour, nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before, on the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before, and the bird said nevermore. And then in another paragraph, a little bit down, it says, this I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This is and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet lining, that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining, with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall press on evermore. So, you think that in the story, maybe that he thinks it is Lenore, because at first he addresses the bird as a he.
But then like, there could be that moment of clarity.
Yeah, and then he addresses it as a she, with kind of like more excitement in that paragraph, because that one has an exclamation point.
Yeah. My sister had me like, what are you reading? I'm reading The Raven, and then I read her some of it, and she said, can you translate it into angry language? So then I did, and all of a sudden I was like, so then I figured out, he's like, go you crazy bird demon, like, wait, you could be Lenore, hooray.
What do you think, how do you think the story would change if it was in a different perspective?
I think there wouldn't be as much like, you wouldn't really know who Lenore is as much. Cause, like,
you really wouldn't.
Yeah, because
maybe if the you took it from a raven's perspective and it actually was the spirit of Lenore taking the shape of a raven, then I'm guessing you would hear more about the old man and like what she was thinking while trying to communicate.
What makes you think that the man is old?
I don't know. I feel like if going back to when you said the theme could be you don't know what's going to happen next and how he kept forgetting things, that it kind of reminds me of like my grandfather.
Yeah.
I'd always thought that maybe it was a younger person because like when he talks about stuff, I mean he does have a lot of wisdom, but if you were an older person, I feel like you wouldn't maybe have felt as much like sorrow as the main character did, as if he was like a person in his like a middle-aged man, like his 30s or 40s.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. It sort of depends on the person to think like the character is this age or this age, but it really could be either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that when he starts thinking about Lenore, he then starts getting more excited and he says things like, filled me with fantastic terrors I had never felt before, and stuff like that. So I really think that he really has a hope and he really thinks that the Raven is Lenore.
Yeah. Okay. Another random question that I get from one of the readings again. Now.
At one point he says, after he's talking about like, you know, his whole thing going on with Lenore, he says that his hopes have flown before. So what do you think that means?
I think he probably thought that Lenore was coming, but then it was probably just the wind or like a person or something.
Yeah.
So then he got
yeah.
really sad.
Like, what paragraph is it?
I don't know. It's kind of in the middle.
Wait.
Oh, yeah. So he says, other friends have flown before as well, which means like, I think that means like he's lost other friends, like, not that they've necessarily like died or something, because you kind of get the feeling that Lenore is deceased.
Like I thought that Lenore was a person. I agree with Maya, but I thought Lenore was a person that he knew personally, and then she died. So then he's sad and is looking for her ghost.
Right. Like, so I think he's like lost other people before. Like maybe friends have left him, or like
Lenore has died.
yeah, like and other people besides that. So I think he thinks that if at maybe that point he still seems like he doesn't think that the Raven is Lenore yet, and that he kind of doesn't like the Raven at that point, and but he's starting to maybe think that that is her, and so I think he's thinking that if he's gotten over other people leaving, like the ghost of Lenore will leave him too, but then at the end he is just like, no, I want you back.
Yeah.
Alright. There's one line in the story that, I don't know what like two of the words mean, and that's quaff, oh quaff, this kind of
Quaff?
Quaff? Quaff means like, said.
Okay, well then what is nepenthe?
I don't know. You mean like quaff spelled like,
Quaff.
oh, never mind. I thought you were talking about a different word.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it means.
But he says, quaff, oh quaff, this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore.
I don't know.
So I think he might be trying to forget her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be trying, but then things keep coming back and reminding him, and then you
I
get
think
all
he's
sad.
just like, he misses her, but he wants to like move on and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really hard for him because things keep reminding him.
Right. How do you think that the story would be different if the setting wasn't the same?
I think the story would be relatively different depending on the setting. If the setting was maybe in a hallway, then like a dark hallway, it would be more, I guess, I don't know how to describe it really, but then the story would change differently if the setting was a hallway or the setting became like a forest somewhere.
Right. I think that the room kind of represents
Sadness?
yeah, like just the colors and like how the author kind of described the room. It kind of helps you understand like what the main character is thinking away and like what he thinks of the Raven. And because like he mentions that it's like darker and it's cold out and it's like purple everywhere. And because like he mentions like purple curtains and the purple cushion.
And the purple velvet everywhere.
Yeah. And so that kind of gives you a feeling of like sadness.
Sadness, regret, memory.
Yeah, but it's not like purple doesn't always have to represent bad things.
It doesn't, but then I think in this case it probably does.
Right, but like when I remember he mentioned, the narrator mentioned like where is it, something about like
Something about.
so it was I can't find it. I was like he was talking about he like smelled perfume and like heard footsteps in that one paragraph. Yeah, okay, so then we thought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. And you kind of think that, like, for me, the setting kind of changed there to a more, like, decorated and, like, a little bit more uplifting thing. I mean, I know it's, like, a sad paragraph, but when it's talking about, like, footsteps and, like, perfume, you think of kind of, like, a more girly place, kind of.
Yeah. When I read that, I kind of almost changed the, like, chamber room. It almost kind of changed into my sister's room with purple and, like, lots of decorations and more of an uplifting scene.
Yeah.
Like you said, Maya.
Yeah. The setting for me changed at that because I thought it was just like this really empty room.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I thought like, oh, this room has carpet in it. It probably has some other furniture too.
I know, like, then I thought, like, at point, like, the room seems to start out really dull, and then, like, it gets more decorated, so it starts as just an empty room with a door, and then it gets, like, there's decorations above the door.
Yeah, the bust of Palace, and
Yeah.
I think, oh, this is an actual legitimate room, and like a castle somewhere.
I know, and then there was, like, the room changed into, like, a place with a fireplace and, like, chairs.
For some reason, I could not relate to you guys because I saw it as like a fully furnished and fancy room at first, and then it just kind of got brighter.
Yeah, I thought that the story went on, I envisioned more light.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
at first, it was just kind of like a dull fire.
I like pictured him like sitting by the fireplace on like a really fancy sofa in a really big like chandelier room.
Oh my gosh, that's like what I pictured, except it was like one of those really big chairs.
Yeah, that's
know,
what
like,
I kind of meant.
by
I didn't know
a
how to
fireplace.
tell.
One of those really
I pictured one of those chairs where it's like almost like a bed.
Yeah,
So it's like laid out and then it's like curvy, so it goes like
that's what I
curves up
pictured.
for your head and then curves down for your feet.
I have one of those chairs.
You do?
Yeah.
Those
Cool.
chairs are